Israel's military says the Gaza ceasefire is back on this morning after carrying out airstrikes overnight that killed more than 100 people. Israeli officials say the attacks were in response to what it called violations to the agreement by Hamas militants. Hamas is accused of shooting and killing an Israeli soldier in the city of Rafah. I want to bring in CBS News Middle East reporter Courtney Kealy, who joins me now from New York City. Courtney, thank you for joining us. Does this flare-up put the overall ceasefire in some serious jeopardy right now?
Well, it really shows how delicate the ceasefire is. Now, Hamas is saying that they were not responsible for that shooting of the IDF. But what Hamas is and the shape and the form it takes in Gaza these days is unclear. Sometimes is it sort of a lack of a rule of law, or is it somebody doing something on, officially for Hamas? So Hamas denied this, but because of these incidents, there were massive airstrikes overnight, and the Hamas-run health ministry is saying that there are casualties, including over 20 children. Now, the ceasefire is holding. There's one thing that I think behind the scenes and that you don't see in pictures is Kiryat Gat, which is about 15 miles or so north of Gaza, is now home to this command military and civil center that's being run by the DoD, by CENTCOM. There were over 200 American officials there. That's where we saw Jared Kushner and company go last week. We've seen the Vice President, the Secretary of State, all of those visits. We're expecting in the coming days the Joint Chiefs of Staff to also go there. And while they're not in charge of what's happening in the part of Gaza that's being run by Hamas, they are coordinating east of that yellow line with the Israelis. So intense pressure on the Israelis, too, to keep this ceasefire going. And even though the airstrikes happened last night, the American officials said we were aware of them. And this is also being overseen by this new force, which also oversees aid. So that's the big difference in what we've seen in the last 2 years.
Okay. Well, the IDF released a video it claims shows Hamas staging the discovery of remains in Gaza. What can you tell us about that? And what does it mean for the trust in the region during this ongoing ceasefire?
Right, we're not sure when that video came out, probably over the weekend and shot by an Israeli drone. But what it is grisly and horrific, and it underscores how difficult this process is. We're not sure if this was something that was being done, that they were putting the remains throwing their remains into something so that they could, quote, discover them, as the International Red Cross saw, and then they could help deliver the remains. There's one issue that some remains that were handed over to the Israeli officials were part of a deceased hostage that was already returned. And then this underscores how hard it is to get all of the hostage remains returned to their family members for proper burials. It also underscores the fact that Hamas doesn't play nice, which would be the biggest understatement. While they're upholding the ceasefire, there's all sorts of questions. Are they going to lay down their arms? Are they going to uphold their side of this? And this is just an incredibly disturbing video that came out that shows what they're still capable of.
Right, very clearly so. Courtney Kealy, thank you so much for your time today.